Attribute fam, peace and blessings. This is Derric Rockamore, and I wanted to do a video about what are soulmates. Part of the reason why I'm doing this video is because I got a request, on this. So I wanted to kind of explain, from my understanding, what soulmates are. Um, First of all, a lot of us, we've heard the term soulmates, and unfortunately, because we live here in the West, and in the Western Hemisphere, for the most part, they bastardize spiritual traditions. They don't really, they persecute people who practice spiritual traditions. As a result, most of the time when we're talking about anything in regards to soulmates, it always comes across as it's romanticized. Um, you always hear people talking about how, oh, I'm in love and this and that and the other, and we're soulmates and blah 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 blah. And I want to give some clarity on that. Okay, I'm pretty sure uh, if you have it, I'm pretty sure a lot of us, we've been in relationships where you was told you were soulmates, and come to find out it's like, okay, that was a very toxic relationship. So again, like I said, that's the whole reason why I wanted to do this. All right, now first of all, before actually talking about what soulmates are, I want to kind of give a little bit of background information in regards to our whole our whole spiritual being. All right. Now, every life form that exists, okay, every life form that exists, we're talking about, and when I'm saying life forms, I'm talking about, we're talking about plants, we're talking about trees, we're talking about, animals. Every life form, from a shamanic perspective, everything has a some degree of consciousness. Okay. Uh, so, from a shamanic perspective, again, all right, your grass is alive. There's a spirit in the grass. Your rocks, minerals, water, rivers. They all have consciousness. They all are alive. Okay. Now, the way in which I've described this, and the way in which it was described, it was explained to me, and the way in which I describe this now, is that every living being basically has a higher self. Okay, this higher self in most living beings, this higher self in all living beings, I should say, it appears as the divine spark. Okay, so everything basically has a divine spark. All right. Now, everything that also physically exists, it also has a like a lower self. Okay, that's pretty much the term in which we could use. Everybody understands that, but it has a lower self, and that lower self basically is the part of that being that it supports its physical body or its physical existence. Okay, for instance, animals, their lower self would be their physical body and everything that's tied to helping them to basically survive. Okay, so the instincts and everything, it all basically ties into that physical body. All right. Now, the difference between human beings and all the other living beings, or all the other spiritual beings, because they're all spiritual beings as well, but the difference between human beings and all the other spiritual beings is that human beings have a soul. All right, we have an ab-soul, and it's because of us having a ab-soul, we can we have the ability to make choices. We have the ability to make choices and decisions. This also gives us a little heightened awareness, whereas we can perceive, life outside of our physical being. We can perceive an existence outside of our physical being. Okay, this is part of the reason why, again, what separates human beings from animals is that we can, because of our ability to be able to see, see life or be able to, perceive that there's something after this physical existence. This is the reason why we're able to perform, rituals and, honoring our dead, why we bury, our dead, as compared to animals who basically, they just leave their dead, out to, for the most part, they leave the dead basically to the forces, forces of nature, let them rot and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So human beings, basically, we have a higher intelligence. Okay. And that's what that's what our soul basically gives us. Now, because of us having that, because of us having an ab soul, because of us having a soul, we do not incarnate into this existence automatically knowing certain things. Okay. For the most part, when we incarnate, we have to learn. We have to evolve. We basically, and that's what it is. That's what is going on. Our spiritual growth basically is dealing with our soul constantly evolving. Okay. So, for instance, the difference between us as human beings is that some of us have a more evolved soul compared to others. All right. It doesn't make us better or any of that. It just means that we just, it's kind of like going to grade school. You put in the work, then, it pays off. You're going to get better grades, okay, compared to the individual who doesn't. All right. So it's the same thing in regards to our evolution, our spiritual evolution. What's actually evolving is our soul. And some of us we've evolved a little bit more so, or we've evolved more than others because we are old souls. All right. Now, in the process, or let me go back, before we actually are incarnated into this physical existence, we receive a destiny. All right. We're shown our destiny. We're shown this is what we want to do, or what we're supposed to do when we incarnate to this plane. And excuse me, once we incarnate to the plane, we pass through that veil. There's different names for the veil, but I'm just going to basically say the veil. And in the process of us passing through the veil, we forget what our purpose is. We forget everything that we're going to experience. And the reason for us forgetting this, the reason for us having that slate wiped clean, is so that we, because if we had knowledge of what we're actually supposed to be doing, we wouldn't do it. It wouldn't be a self-discovery for the most part. Okay. So that's the reason why it's done. All right. But prior to us incarnating, along with us actually, along with us actually being told, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're supposed to accomplish, these are the lessons that we're supposed to learn. Along with all that, we are also introduced to various other souls. And these other souls are individuals that are going to incarnate to the plane along with us. Okay. And in the process, so when we all come down, when we all incarnate to this physical plane and we incarnate with other souls, these other souls are supposed to help us, and we're supposed to help them. All right. And these souls that we incarnate with are what we call soulmates. That's what the true understanding of what a soulmate is. All right. So, in one sense, when someone is saying, from a romantic size, purpose, saying, oh, well, we're in love and blah, 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 and, and we're soulmates, they don't really understand they don't really understand the definition or what it really means to be a soulmate. But what actually is taking place, what actually is going on, is that when two people are supposedly, in love with each other, and they're alleging or they're claiming that they're supposed to be soulmates, it just means that these are two individuals that were supposed to have met and they're supposed to help each other. Okay? There is no romantic aspect tied to it. All right? It all basically refers back to one's destiny. All right? Refers back to one's purpose in life. Now, I didn't used to believe in this. Okay? Let me just be honest. I didn't used to believe in it. Until I actually started doing a little bit of research and I started looking at certain things, especially, and history is a great example of this. You'll notice, for instance, if you've ever gone back and you look at the history of the civil rights movement, read some of the autobiographies of some of the civil rights leaders and watch the documentaries, and even to this day, if you talk to individuals who actually lived during that time, you'll notice something. You'll notice that they all have similar mindsets. They all have similar traits. They all have similar backgrounds, similar experiences. Okay? This is because this is a reflection that these individuals, they came down they were supposed to come down during that era, and that's when they came down. Okay? It shows that's the evolution of their souls. Okay? Excuse me. Another example, and like I said, and because of that understanding, that's given me a little bit more respect for individuals from that era. It helps me to understand that they are not always going to agree with whatever we believe, especially, the younger generation, or, generation, our generation X and so forth. They're not going to necessarily believe or accept what it is, and part of the reason why is because, again, that's not what they were brought here to do. That's not the reason why they incarnated to this plane. Okay, they incarnated to this plane to help that civil rights movement, the whole era, to move on, and so that's it. Okay, so another example of an individual, another example of the fact that soulmates, and this is how I kind of came to the conclusion, and I kind of realized and saw the truth of it, is that if you've ever had deja vu, experience, and I imagine most of us who are here, we've had that experience, you'll notice that there's certain people, during the deja vu experience, you'll see someone and it's like, hey, I remember I was here. Okay. That right there is proof that on the higher plane, before you incarnated, for the most part, you met with this individual. I've had in fact, I think this has even happened with my wife. Before I actually met my wife, I had a dream and had a deja vu experience of actually, being with her and meeting her and talking to her, being in a conversation with her, which is, again, proof that on a higher plane, in the spiritual plane, we'd already met. All right. So the whole thing that was going on in the physical realm is that we're just going through, basically, going through the steps, going through the stages and everything. But it already took place in the spiritual realm. Okay. It already took place before we incarnated. It's just that now we're going through the actual physical steps of meeting and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So again, that's that's my understanding of what soulmates are. Soulmates are anybody. It could be anyone. It's not just someone who you're in love with. it can be, it's any of the souls that basically you've incarnated with. It can be, your family members can also be soulmates. Okay, well, I don't want to say can, but they are. Your family members are soulmates. People you work with, are soulmates. You can even have enemies that are soulmates. And the reason being is because these are basically all, some people use the word avatars, but that's what they are. They're basically there to help you to learn your lesson, help you to accomplish your destiny, accomplish your purpose in being here. All right. So, hopefully that helped. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. Again, if you got any questions or so, drop me a line. Also, thanks again for your donations. Thanks again for liking, sharing, and subscribing. All right. Till next time. Thanks. Hetapoo. Peace. No pretending, baby, I'm sending